You ever realize that it's becoming so hot that even at night it's becoming difficult to sleep? Last night was incredibly still, extremely still. It wasn't even humid. It was just terribly hot. And even with the fan on or the air conditioning on, it really felt like a bit of a sweatbox. And what is most intriguing to me is that I woke up this morning, you know, the difference in temperatures is incredible because it's even more hot. The sun's not even up. And I start my car, again, the sun's not even out yet, and it's telling me 30 degrees. I was like, what is really going on? I mean, Saharan is one thing. I've started the show in the last few weeks speaking about Saharan dust and the fact that you can't even see the mountains, or when you're driving into Port of Spain, you can't even see the Twin Towers. But the heat, it's incredible. It's dry and extremely still, and you know what they say, earthquake weathers. So those showers at the beginning of April, those very heavy showers that we experienced at the beginning of April, I hope they return soon enough, because not only are we as human beings suffering, but nature in itself is also really reeling from the heat. So stay hydrated, folks. Anyway, welcome to AM Prime, and thanks so much for joining us this morning. It's always a pleasure to be here and to share in some, well, intellectually stimulating conversations. In fact, this morning we're speaking about solutions. Oftentimes we analyze problems, we try to get solutions. That may not always be the case. But this morning we are looking at one solution, or one proposed solution put forward by a former government minister, and that is Mr. Trevor Sudama. In fact, he has put forward an argument for the establishment of a medical ombudsman, and he highlighted the recent deaths at the NICU of those babies from what is said to be an infection. It's just an example of the serious deficiencies within our healthcare system. Now, bearing in mind, this is not something that is only an issue within the public healthcare system. It is something that also affects the private healthcare system, but of course, you don't always hear about that. However, a medical ombudsman, exactly what are the functions of a medical ombudsman should that office be established? What powers would they have, or in this particular instance, should they have? What are the benefits to this? I'm joined by Mr. Sudama. He's via telephone this morning. Hello, sir, and welcome to AM Prime.
Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you so very much for joining me. The Office of the Medical Ombudsman. I read your column, and it really was quite stimulating intellectually about the suggestions that you put forward. The thing is, though, is that with bureaucracy here in Trinidad and Tobago, given the experiences of those offices that have been established for years, and what the public often suggests, it's not always very favorable. That being said, why have you suggested the need for an Office of a Medical Ombudsman? What authority should the Office of the Medical Ombudsman have if they were to be established?
Well, first of all, the medical ombudsman would be an independent institution established by statute, preferably in the Constitution, which then will have the function of investigating requests from private citizens as well as from the state agencies, where you have questions as to procedures and basically fatalities occurring in the private health sector as well as the public sector. And these requests will be investigated by the ombudsman, who will have the authority under the law to go into the institution and to inquire about what exactly took place, get evidence, interview people, get documents, and so on. And on the basis of which the ombudsman will make a determination of culpability or liability or otherwise, and then from there perhaps make some recommendation as to whether compensation is an option, and in fact whether new procedures or reform procedures to correct the situation. So the Ombudsman would of course invest it with a person who will have the expertise supported by expert staff and so on, and will have the option of acquiring expertise from the outside when necessary.
I'm just interjecting because in your column, what you've put forward, you said that there is always a need for thorough, expeditious, and credible inquiries, not only to establish facts, but to determine direct and indirect culpability. Now, officers under our Constitution that have existed are the powers, the authority, are always said to be that very much of independent, not reliant on other office holders, but that being said, are we just creating another avenue for red tape? Whilst efficiency is always something that we aim for and hope for, independent offices that currently exist don't necessarily have that.
Well, that is an issue throughout the public sector and private sector. The efficiency and effectiveness of bureaucracy. But you cannot do without bureaucracy. That is a fundamental part of any governmental or private sector operation, to get things done or to investigate things. You can't. What we have to do is to try and make bureaucracy more efficient and expeditious and effective. But that is a general problem. Right? And the advantage, if such an institution is established, that it is an alternative of going to court to find out, for aggrieved families, to find out what exactly happened, and to get a more independent view. Because if it's left to inquiry from within the institution, I don't think people will trust that as much as one done by an independent institution, right? And so I think there is need for that sort of hands-off investigation.
Well,
now the thing is that while people have the option of going to court where they're not satisfied with outcomes in both the private and public institutions, going to court is a costly and time-consuming matter. Sometimes the cases are heard years after the incident. So that for many people is not an option, especially to the person of average means who really can't afford to go to court. But if you have a medical ombudsman or any other person that has named doing that function, the person could always have access to that medical ombudsman and try to get closure. Right?
Now, another issue, let me just raise another issue, because I very much am appreciative of the points that you've put forward, and I very much am in favor of what you've proposed. But you have also pointed out that the proposed medical ombudsman would be required to have appropriate qualifications and experience, which of course that's a given. But you also said to be supported by suitably qualified staff, and that is a major issue. And one example that currently exists is the office of the DPP, who don't even have control over the staff that they necessarily hire, and even in respect to those who are being hired are not always qualified. For example, it's another example with the probate office. That's an issue that they have been experiencing as well. So again, that being said, in terms of being suitably qualified to staff the office of the medical ombudsman, who should have the responsibility, or the authority or the powers to ensure that those who are filling these positions are best suited, are most suitable?
Well, that authority, of course, has to reside. I mean, the resources have to come from the government. The government will have to approve the resources. But that authority would reside with the president or with a commission, the Public Service Commission, or some other body. Now the whole issue of speed and effectiveness and the adequacy and so on, that is an issue that is endemic to the whole system. You understand? So that if you raise that issue, it means that you would not, because of culture, practice, and so on, the public system.
So arguably, we need to fix the public system before this office is established.
Nothing. But there are so many families that need, that experience these issues of particular fatality, and they are none the wiser. They can't get information of a satisfactory information from the institution, whether it's private or public, and they are left there hanging without closure. And I'm saying that if you have enough, and the investigation is carried out, at least some closure. This, of course, doesn't mean that you should, of course, not have that option. But at least you will have an institution there that can do more expedition and bring closer to the issue. And from the point of view of establishing some sort of culpability or liability, they can also recommend compensation, so that if there is an agreement on that, then the institution doesn't have to go to court and face sort of litigation and reputational damage and those kind of things. So I think there are advantages to the system, and it all depends on how well the investigation, how quickly we can thoroughly. But I think to be in the public interest, because these institutions, having made inquiries, will establish a fund of knowledge of best practice, which will be available if you want to know well.
Mr. Sudama, is the office going to be responsible only for cases that exist within the public health? Sorry, Mr. Sudama, could you hear me?
Learning advantages.
Mr. Sudama, could you hear me? Are you hearing me clearly?
That will be drawn upon.
Mr. Sudama, could you hear me clearly?
Hello?
Hello? Okay, I think there seems...
Are we still there?
Yes, I don't know if you're hearing me clearly. Okay, I think there is an issue with Mr. Sudama hearing me clearly enough. There are a couple more questions. Hopefully we can get him back shortly to continue the conversation. Mr. Sudama, are you still there?
Yeah.
All right, Mr. Sudama, my apologies. I'm just asking whether or not that the Office of the Medical Ombudsman would be solely responsible for cases within the public healthcare system, or is this something that should also be reflective of cases within the private healthcare system?
Yes, I think it's both public and private healthcare system, because a lot of people who go to the private health system and pay a lot of money, and they are not satisfied with the outcomes that they get, particularly if they have fatalities and so on. The only option they have is, of course, to take the matter to court, but that would require, garnering the evidence and paying lawyers and time-consuming, and so on. So I'm saying both the public and private health sectors should be subject to the investigation.
Now, this can be deemed as a bit less informal more informal of investigations that currently exist, or what investigative procedures are currently utilized here in TNT. You have suggested that it will reduce perhaps litigation and even the workload upon the courts. So is this something that could also be less expensive? The expenditure could be deemed as less than what is currently utilized?
Yes, it would be much less expensive. I don't know what kind of reimbursement costs may be attached to the work of the ombudsman, but I would imagine that it would be on the basis of the fact that people can't afford, going to court and so on. So if even there is a fee attached, I don't think there should be, but if there's a fee attached, it's much less than what is involved in taking a matter to court and hiring lawyers and other things. So I think at the point of end, it's much more beneficial to the average citizen of limited means to access the office of the ombudsman.
Now, arguably, investigations within the public domain, if it comes from the should an office like this exist, would be seen as more objective. The issue, however, is that if we are also looking at private healthcare institutions, such institutions may not find favor because of more intrusiveness and oversight.
Yes, I think that is something lacking in the present system, that private health institutions are not in any way supervised as to their practices and their procedures and whether they are observing minimal rules of medical practice. So I think there is that inadequacy in the present system, where private health institutions are not subject to any kind of investigation by central authorities, public system. And you have instances, people pay a lot of money, sometimes thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars in the private health sector. Something goes wrong, or they're not satisfied with it. And you try to make inquiries as the aggrieved family, and you get nowhere, and you're not given satisfactory answers, and there's nothing else you can do, except for go to court.
Mr. Sudama, I'm sorry, we're running out of time, but my final question to you is, your experience within the public sector. You are a former government minister. You've held various offices during your time in Parliament, and as a member of Parliament. I'm curious to know, given your experiences and also what you've heard of people suggesting about what currently exists, what would be your recommendations for making bureaucracy, of which you said arguably we cannot function without bureaucracy. There's no institution in the world that can function without bureaucracy. But here in TNT in particular, what suggestions or recommendations do you have to make bureaucracy more functional, more effective, more efficient?
Well, the first thing is accountability. We don't have a proper system of accountability. People who are functional, and certainly, how do you judge their performance? You should establish certain criteria of judging performance. And on the basis of that, you have sanctions of whatever sort that may be required. Because as of now, people function in the bureaucracy, and they go along, and there are complaints and so on from the public, and nothing happens, and there is no accountability, no performance guidelines, nothing. So that it is up to the government, probably the Service Commission, some other body, to ensure that there is accountability and performance guidelines, and that people are made to answer, and that from time to time we have a report from the public, get the feedback from the public as to what is happening, what are the inadequacies, where they are lacking, and where there's non-response. And on the basis of that, action should be taken.
Mr. Sudama, I want to thank you very much for your time this morning and for joining me on AM Prime to discuss the proposal. Of course, this is something of which public opinion is imperative. I hope people have been listening and people have had the opportunity to read what you've put forward. Because it is available online. If you just simply search the Office of the Medical Ombudsman, it's the first thing that will come up, indeed. But Mr. Sudama, thank you so very much for joining us on the program.
Thank you.
Do have a good day. All the very best. Ladies and gentlemen, we take a break here on AM Prime. We will return shortly as we continue this morning's discussion. So we'll be right back.
Imagine a world where arguments don't exist. CICR is a full-service conflict resolution company that offers mediation training and workshops for all. In 2024, our 40-hour workshops are back, giving you all the tools you need to become a certified mediator in Trinidad and Tobago. Want to know more? Call us at 768-6778 or visit our website. Let's work together to make the world a better place.
This is Face of Sports, WESN Content Capital. How you felt about the kiss on the lips?
That's the business. I'm nothing to do with that.
And I find that was distasteful.
The national senior team, whether you like it or not, that is the model for all other teams to follow.
I'm assuming that the regional requirement may be a much stricter requirement.
This is not about Pro League and Super League. This is a league run by the Normalization Committee that I'm responsible for.
Nobody expected FIFA to fund this arrangement.
If we don't get a professional attitude towards this, we are doomed for failure.
You break the balance, trip the leg, control the body.
They ain't gonna stand put forever.
Why you want the Chiefs to lose so? Why you want the Chiefs to lose so?
They already have two. Lamar don't
Why?
have.
You're jealous because you know the Chiefs getting closer to the Patriots. Let's go to the last part.
No.
Let's go to the last part.
FanZone, your reliable, authentic supplier, has just gotten better. You can now visit our website www.fanzonett.com for your authentic wear and collectibles. The only place where you can use both your Visa debit and credit cards. Visit our website fanzonett.com to make your purchase today.
This is 10 Questions. I'm Andy Johnson. The distance from where we should be in the world in going forward on our commitments with climate change.
The effects of climate change that cannot be accounted for. It's called loss and damage, and we're seeing loss and damage happening so much more in this decade and the previous decade.
The principal term there was this question of the correspondent banking issues.
That is why we're trying to build capacity with this country here, Trinidad and Tobago, and other countries in the region. Man is not showing any signs of stopping or even slowing down. More than half of the forest in Trinidad is already gone.
All the plants and all the animals and all of the nice clean water and fresh air and everything had to be on this planet for humanity to have a chance.
We have small change when it comes to countries that can take decisions, and when they speak, the world listens.
The General Assembly is a very democratic forum. And Trinidad and Tobago has the same vote as Canada, in spite of the obvious difference in size.
You are watching Strictly Legal on WESN Content Capital. Just give an overview of what exactly is that split arrangement.
It is, now you don't need to register nothing. You don't need, we can do that another time. But then it becomes a hit, and then everybody starts to want to claim.
The laws that predate
many of the independent countries' constitutions are going to be those colonial laws.
We know there are an infinite amount of circumstances that would lead to a murder.
I have a great idea and, I have a great concept, but until it's actually expressed, it does not become intellectual property.
Accomplishments or targets of a forensic accountant is to quantify what may have been lost.
We believe we defend criminals and we manipulated the law and we exploited the system.
A responsible journalist will reach out to the person who they have the information on for a comment.
We are tackling the hard-hitting topics, some controversial topics, some topics we sweep under the rug. You don't always have to forgive in a relationship for it to move forward.
If it is you are in a situation where you forgive the person, but to the detriment of yourself, what are you really doing?
It is very uncommon for somebody in the younger age group to have dementia.
Atheists don't not believe.
Is that I can't disprove God, but you also can't prove God, so we cannot a stalemate.
We'll focus on the woman who's being the victim, right, or the man is being the victim. We exclude the children.
Folks are trying to study the underlying brain mechanism to figure out how does this particular disorder happen in the brain? How is the brain processing this?
Don't worry about AI, worry about humans working with AI.
Are you willing to learn new skills to stay relevant for the future job market? That's the challenge that people are going to struggle with.
Welcome back to AM Prime, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for being with us this morning. On the 2nd of May 2024, the Ministry of Foreign and CARICOM Affairs issued a release and it states that the government of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago took the decision at a cabinet meeting to formally recognize the state of Palestine. The Minister of Foreign and CARICOM Affairs, the Honorable Dr. Emery Brown, said a cabinet had determined that the formal recognition of Palestine by the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago will assist in the achievement of a long-lasting peace by strengthening the growing international consensus on the issue of Palestinian statehood. However, though there is formal recognition on the part of TNT of Palestinian statehood, a local Muslim group is also calling on the government to sever all economic and diplomatic ties with Israel. The other part of this entire conversation is exactly why should Trinidad and Tobago be involved and why should TNT be concerned about this. I'm joined this morning by the Public Relations Officer of the Concerned Muslims of TNT, Mr. Imtiaz Mohammed. He joins us virtually. Hello, sir, and welcome to AM Prime.
Yeah, good morning. Good morning to all your viewers as well. And, my opening statements, well, first is that this is not a call by concerned Muslims of Trinidad and Tobago or Muslims in Trinidad and Tobago. It's a call made also by other NGOs who are involved with us and unions as well. JTAM is involved with us on this call, and we also have the NGO of a network of NGOs of women for the advancement of women. Mm-hmm. And then you also have Emancipation Committee as well. So it's not only a call by Muslims, right? It's a call made by other organizations representing a wide cross-section of Trinidad and Tobago. And this genocide that is taking place in Gaza, this is not about religion. It's not about Muslims alone, because Muslims are not only killed, we have Christians and other people of other faiths also might be killed as well. So it's humanity, it's about human beings, right? It's about, you know, someone's own life being taken under unjust war. And we must have to recognize that. So it's all about, you know, humanity, and it is important. And the world have recognized that, because you have millions of people who are marching all over the world, which started just a few weeks after this war started. And, you know, today we have seen in universities across the United States especially, and then some European countries, England, France. And also you had a big march yesterday in New York City. So, you know, it's all about, you know, humanity. It's all about, you know, concern for life. And we must recognize that. And this genocide started on the 10th of October, 3 days after October the 7th. And we have 34,000 lives lost, and then you have people still missing under the rubble, so you could probably safely take that figure to over 40,000 people killed. And also out of that, you have over 15,000 children who were killed so far recorded. So, you know, this genocide must stop. The United States of America is the biggest player together with Israel on this. When this war started, the United States of America told the world, especially those in the Middle East, you know, they are not to step in. And they told Israel, we have your back. So right away, they became complicit in whatever Israel do. And it is a genocide, there's no question about that. The world has recognized that. It's about ethnic cleansing that is taking place. It's apartheid. And we must understand that the ethnic cleansing and apartheid in Israel didn't start after October the 7th. This has been going on for 75 years. These people have been living under this type of oppression, right?
Mr. Mohammed, if I may just interject, I'm asking you directly, exactly when did this war or this genocide that you're currently referring to start? You said it, you referenced earlier in your response that it started 3 days after October 7th. Public commentary here in TNT online, many Trinbagonians are expressing that this may not have happened should Hamas have not attacked Israel or crossed Israel's borders in the first place. This morning you're saying that this started 3 days after October 7th. So exactly when did this war begin? It's very conflicting.
Okay, so it's not conflicting. I think that people who are making the comments, like you just said, they are ignorant of the facts of what has happened in the last 75 years. So let me bring you back. 1917, the Balfour Declaration was signed, where the English allowed the Jewish people after the Holocaust in Germany, right, give them a space in Palestine, which was less than 10% of the land. Between 1917, when they went in there, to 1947, right, the Jewish people, right, started to take more lands from the Palestinians and so, right? And they had conflicts between the Palestinians that lived there at that time and the Jews. And then 1948, you had Nakba, right, which is means catastrophe. What happened in Nakba is that you had a people who was given a space in your country, right, came now, get powerful, and expelled over 750,000 Palestinians from their land, went into over 600 villages and burned down those villages, killed 15,000 people, right? People need to know this history before coming up. And between then and now, the Zionist Jews in Israel have always been harassing the Palestinian people. They continued to take Palestinian lands, right, and continue to set up settlements in these lands without any sanction coming from the Palestinians authority and so on, right? So people are ignorant of the facts of this conflict, as they call it, and they need to go back and get the correct knowledge, right? Thousands of Palestinians have been killed even after Nakba to now. Nobody spoke about that. Nobody spoke about, you see, and that is what the Americans and the Zionist Israelis, that's what they want people to believe. So they don't talk about what has been happening between 1917 to before October the 7th, right? So people need to go back to their history and educate themselves on the facts of this matter.
Is Hamas,
right? So
is the group Hamas that currently exists, do you think that Hamas is reflective of the Palestinian people? Because it is said that Palestine voted and elected for Hamas, but at the same time Hamas has been deemed as a terrorist organization. Do you think that Hamas is negative as compared to what Palestine needs?
We must also be aware that who made Hamas into this powerful group that they are. It was the Israelis, right, and the Americans and them. They are the ones who used Hamas to divide and rule in Palestine, in Palestine, right? And they finance Hamas, right? They give them all that they can give them in terms of resources so that they can fight the PLO led by Arafat at that time. This is how Hamas became strong thereafter, and people need to know that. So you know, Israel and the United States, they are accustomed to doing these things because not only Hamas in the world that they have partnered with to throw down governments and so on, right? This has been going on all over the world with these countries, right? Especially the United States, where they will partner with you. And then after that, when they don't need you again, they call you a terrorist, they label you a terrorist group and so on, and that's it. You must understand something, that one man's terrorist is our next man's freedom fighter. And if you look at what is happening in Palestine, right, the world have turned their backs on the Palestinian people. And the only people who are fighting for the Palestinians are Hamas, Hezbollah, Qassam Brigade, Iran, providing resources, etc. Right? So what else is left for these Palestinian people to do? You know, so people need to educate themselves again. If you don't educate yourself, then don't jump into the discussion.
Do you, getting back to the point of the government of the Republic of TNT recognizing Palestinian statehood, the release says that it will assist in the achievement of a lasting peace by strengthening the growing international consensus. Do you think that TNT's position, what do you make of that in respect to its contributing to...
We commend the government for recognizing Palestine as a state. But if all countries in the world recognize Palestine as a state, and don't, you know, give them more power and rights to govern themselves and so on, then recognizing them as a state is useless, right? Follow the footsteps of South Africa. When South Africa decided to recognize Palestine as a state just recently, the president of South Africa said, no, well, you just can't recognize them alone. So what they did, they expelled the Israeli ambassador, right? They recalled their ambassador, they cut trade and things like that. So this is what countries need to do around the world, because the United Nations is failing the people of Palestine, right? The United Nations have a group called the Security Council, which is supposed to be one of the most powerful arms in the UN. And 15 countries make up that Security Council. And when a ceasefire call is made and 14 countries support it, America come and veto it, and then everything falls flat on its face, right? So that is of no use. So countries now, when you see that happening, countries have to take their own independent position on Palestine, right? And as small as we are, right, we need to let our voices be heard as well. We cannot just sit back and say, well, we country too small and we're so far from them. And so a genocide could take place here anytime. Look at the condition of Haiti, right? Look what happens in Venezuela, right? So all these are threats as well to Trinidad and Tobago. So we need to take a stance, and Trinidad and Tobago, the Prime Minister must go to CARICOM and influence the heads in CARICOM to take stronger action.
Mm-hmm. All right, Mr. Mohammed, are you still with us? All right, it seems as though we have lost Mr. Imtiaz Mohammed during this interview. But as mentioned, TNT has formally recognized the state of Palestine. According to the Ministry of Foreign and CARICOM Affairs via their release, it is in recognition as well. It recognizes Trinidad and Tobago's consistent support for a two-state solution as a way out of the conflict. The Prime Minister of TNT, Dr. Keith Rowley, has recognized Israel's right to exist and also the right of Palestinians to a state of their own. Further to that, the Minister of Foreign and CARICOM Affairs, the Honorable Dr. Amy Brown, has indicated that they are in support of a ceasefire and they are very much against the loss of civilian lives in both Israel and Palestine. TNT is not the only nation to have done such. Over the last few weeks, Jamaica as well as Barbados have also taken this decision. I'm hoping that we will be able to get Mr. Mohammed back on air with us shortly, because many Trinbagonians are asking, why is this an issue for us? Why is this something that we need to be involved in or deal with? What are the benefits to TNT even recognizing Palestine as a state? So hopefully we'll get Mr. Mohammed on back soon. What we're going to do, let's take a quick break, see if we can get back a connection, and hopefully we'll be able to continue this morning's discussions. We'll be right back after this, ladies and gentlemen.
Imagine a world where arguments don't exist. CICR is a full-service conflict resolution company that offers mediation training and workshops for all. In 2024, our 40-hour workshops are back, giving you all the tools you need to become a certified mediator in Trinidad and Tobago. Want to know more? Call us at 768-6778 or visit our website. Let's work together to make the world a better place.
Join me, Dr. Nalini Kokram, on What's Up Doc, where we discuss all your burning questions concerning health.
Trinidad and Tobago is among one of the highest risk group of patients that develop this form of genetic breast cancer.
What I'd like to take home from a short interview like this, screening. You must screen.
Because it's silent.
It's silent.
Yeah.
And because it's silent, you don't know it's there.
What's Up Doc, every Tuesday and Thursday on WESN, Content Capital.
The home of Caribbean content is growing, and we welcome you to be a part of the #1 platform for young personalities who are driven to make a positive impact in society. As we continue to reach every corner of Trinidad and Tobago through our daily broadcasts, our social media pages, or through our 75+ digital billboards across the nation, contact us to learn about our competitive rates via marketing at wesncc.com or call us at 628-5835. WESN Content Capital, television with a difference.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. MTS Mohammed is with us, albeit via telephone. That's okay. Mr. Mohammed, we don't have much time to continue this conversation, unfortunately. However, my final question to you is, Trinidad and Tobago, many citizens are asking the question, why is this something that we should be concerned about? Why is it that we are getting involved? Why, in your opinion, why is this necessary for the government of Trinidad and Tobago to take such a strong position?
Happening in Trinidad and Tobago. Trinidad and Tobago wants all countries in the world to give their support to them. We have to ask that question first. And I'm sure that they will say yes. So it's about life. It's about people's life. It's about a genocide. We were so far away from South Africa when they had apartheid there. Why were we concerned about that further? Right? Then we should not be concerned about that if these citizens think so. Right? If they are asking that question today. Right? So when you see a wrong is happening, you have a responsibility to speak out against it, right? And if you can't speak out against it, especially when lives are being taken, then something is fundamentally wrong with that person, right? So you know, we must speak out against this genocide that is taking place. And countries, again, they must realize America, Canada, South America, Central America, countries all over the world, just as far away from Israel, is protesting and speaking out against it. So what is wrong with Trinidad and Tobago?
Mr. Mohammed, thank you very much for joining us this morning for the conversation, and I'm glad we were able to get you back to give your closing commentary. But I thank you very much for your time this morning.
Okay, thanks very much.
Do have a good day. Mr. Imtiaz Mohammed, Public Relations Officer of Concerned Muslims of TNT, joining me on the program this morning. Ladies and gentlemen, I guess everyone does have an opinion on this, and some very much not bothered. The comments I've read suggest that we here in TNT can't even look after ourselves or look after our own states. Why are we taking such positions? If ever you get the opportunity, you simply, social media is a buzz with a lot of things. Even news articles online sometimes, commentary just gives you a snippet of public opinion. But thank you very much to Mr. Mohammed for joining us for his position. I have reached out to the ambassador, the representative of Israel to Trinidad and Tobago for comment, and hopefully we will get that very soon. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a break now, and it's Wild Wednesday. When we return, we'll get a bit wild.
Here is the WESN News on the Hour. I am Sarah Ali. Thanks for joining us. Here are the headlines. U.S. Assistant Secretary for International Narcotics to visit TNT. PTSD routes now available on Google Maps. And internationally, dozens missing after a 5-story apartment collapsed in South Africa. Now for the details. The United States Assistant Secretary for International Narcotics and Law Enforcement and the U.S. Department of Justice Associate Deputy Attorney General will be in Trinidad and Tobago this week to discuss combating illegal firearms and narcotics trafficking. A release issued by the U.S. Embassy confirms that Ambassador Todd D. Robinson and ADAG Michael P. Bangari will meet with senior TNT government officials from May 8th to 10th, 2024 to discuss collaborative strategies to strengthen regional security and combat transnational crime. As of Monday's update, commuters aiming to navigate via public transportation can now access Public Transport Service Corporation routes on Google Maps. PTSC announced that users can view the bus company's routes and estimated travel times once all services are operating as planned, with exceptions for unexpected traffic disruptions. With this enhancement, travelers can conveniently plan their trips around the island by tapping on the transit icon located at the top left corner of Google Maps. Police have detained a man said to be the prime suspect in the murders of 4 men in Cocorite on Saturday night. The incident also left 8 others with injuries. The 29-year-old man, reportedly from Waterhole Road, Cocorite, was held while attempting to flee the country on Sunday night. Police, acting on intelligence received, found the suspect at the Piarco International Airport while attempting to board a plane to the JFK Airport in New York. In international news, efforts are continuing in South Africa to find about 50 people who went missing after a 5-story apartment building collapsed on Monday. At least 6 people have been confirmed dead since the incident in the southern coastal city of George. Rescuers heard from 11 more survivors in the ruins of the under-construction building on Tuesday. They include 4 who are trapped in the basement. The cause of the collapse is being investigated. Well, that's it to News on the Hour on WESN. I am Sira Ali. Thank you for watching.
Welcome back to AM Prime, ladies and gentlemen. I'm sitting on, you're probably wondering, oh, why is Keaton looking so stiff this morning? Why is Keaton sitting on a couch? Well, it's because it's Wild Wednesday. I don't know how Ricardo got me to agree to this one. But then again, I don't know how he gets me to agree to a lot of the animals he brings on set. Thank God he hasn't brought any cockroaches as yet. Ladies and gentlemen, I welcome to the program once more. Why we missed that for? Oh. Ricardo Mead. And our good friend, introduce yourself, my dear.
Oh, my name is Leanne.
Leanne, nice to meet you. And who are these 2 wonderful creatures that you brought with us? I know what they are. What are their names?
This is Pine and this is Ginger. They are twins, so the names are Pine and Ginger.
Wonderful. Okay, exactly. I don't want to get it confused. I'm going to say pigs, but that might be offensive. So tell me exactly.
Yes, so good morning to everyone. Thank you for having us here again. It's another episode of Wild Wednesday. I think it's our last for the year.
It's our last for the year.
Last Wild Wednesday for the year.
Isn't that depressing and sad?
A bit, yeah. So we started off with, according to you guys, a kobo, black vulture, and we end with pigs. But they're not really pigs. They're actually peccary. Colored peccary or wild hog, also known as quank, 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 right? So these are our local guys. Unfortunately, we have more and more animals being imported, smuggled in illegally from Venezuela, and people don't even know the difference anymore. Ours are smaller and a lot cuter. The colored peccary, the ones from Venezuela are the white-lipped peccary. They're a lot bigger, longer snout, different animal. Same family, different animal.
I was just about to say, these animals are quite cute, but not accustomed to what you would see or what people would talk about.
Yeah, many people are getting accustomed to the venue ones now, and it's quite sad. But these are our local animals, very, very important in our ecosystem, creating the forests that they live in. And people need to know and understand that tremendously. You want to lie down? Good, lie down. There you go. These guys are quite nice, quite socialized for us to be able to bring them out. And, it does a great job with them. And she thinks she's a bit of a lap dog here. You want to touch her? Go ahead.
Sure.
Give her a little pet there.
Yeah, of course. Hello.
Again, she only bites on Wednesdays.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
So Come on, let's go. Right here.
The Mohawk. The
Mohawk, yeah.
Are we going to get a yawn? Are we going to get another yawn? We missed that earlier. Hello.
Yeah, there you go. Oh, I see he's warming up to you.
Gosh.
There you go. See, it's a good thing you're a vegetarian, eh?
Yeah, I think I'm not going to put my fingers there right now. Maybe.
Right? Yeah. But it's just, these are some of our just amazing animals. And when we go to a display with these animals, I mean, almost none of the animals seem to exist because people have never had a chance to see these animals up close, a chance to touch them, a chance to feed them, and feel the coarseness of their it's almost like a porcupine's spines.
It really is, isn't
coarse.
it?
It's just amazing animals, and what they do to bring awareness that people are out there killing these animals year round, and soon we will have none in Trinidad at the rate that they're going.
Is that bad?
Well, there's none in Tobago. There are little sightings here and there, but they've basically been declared extirpated. That means they are no longer these animals in any significant quantities to be sustainable in Tobago. So you can't find wild hog in Tobago anymore.
Wow.
So we always say, when we talk about extinction and animals dying out, we always think about the Sumatran rhino, the white rhino, this giraffe. We have animals right here in our country, in our ecosystem, that are being wiped out. And they're amazing animals. Okay? Now, I am not I'm not vegetarian. So I don't have a problem eating meat. In fact, I have to prepare so much meat for my animals on a daily basis. It's just ridiculous how much meat we have to prepare because the hawks, the owls, the falcons, the monkey, so many animals eat meat. That's just a part of it. But there is something called sustainability, which is something we need to get a good grasp on in this country. Things have to be sustainable, else we're going to lose it. Okay? So you want to hunt, yes, but what are your efforts to preserve what you are actually hunting? If there is no more to hunt, then what are you going to do? Hang up your guns and play hopscotch? So the efforts have to be all wrong, and people, not just the conservationists, the hunters have to become conservationists and manage themselves and people around them to ensure that these animals stick around. So if you're not doing that, then you probably need to put down your guns and try to pick up a breeding program so that we can have these animals in our ecosystem way into the future.
Now, Leanne, you've worked very closely with these animals.
Yes.
And, I mean, they seem very socialized, but out in the wild, I know people hunt them.
Yes.
But what is happening as Ricardo was speaking? Are they venturing more and more into urbanized areas? Or is it that they're trying to get as far away from us as possible? We're just going after them?
It's a little of both because, like, with more hunters going into their territory, they're either dropping food, then they're following the food trail, and then when people see wild animals, they're first into, oh, let's feed it, let's take it, let's kill it. So it's hard for them to find a secluded area to live because everything's being intruded on them. Hunters or just not tourists, but like locals just going into their habitats. Destroying their habitats, either leaving litter and stuff everywhere. So they never have a safe space anymore. It's hard for them to find their own in the forest. Like no area is quiet enough for them. So that's why they're finding it hard to thrive. Like he said, there's none in Tobago. Like there's no sanctuary for them anymore. So they're trying hard to keep their numbers up in Trinidad, but it's really hard with everybody coming into their habitat, destroying it, hunting them. So, and that's why they'll become so aggressive in the wild, because they're trying to protect what little territory they have. That's why if you see one in the wild, they're not going to be this sweet. They'll be a lot more aggressive. They will defend their territory and their pack, their family, because they live in groups. So, and they all have a particular smell on them, so they will know if you intrude on their space, because each family of Quinks always gives off a particular smell on each other.
A unique smell?
Yeah, they have a little scent gland on their back. I don't know if you can see that right there. Yeah,
musking out there, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just a little hole on their back,
They have a
and they
particular
will
smell.
rub on each other, and every Quenkini family will have that particular smell.
Yeah.
I probably have that smell with them.
Well, it seems as though you're very much family with them.
Yeah.
And they're
They
very-
will rub on me the same way they rub on each other to release the scent. I get it a lot.
You've certainly made some close family members there. But also, you've really, because of how, calm they are, that relationship that you have with them, that human-animal relationship, is not something that you often see. Did you have to, train these dogs? Were they born in captivity? How did they come into your life?
Well, their mom actually got injured by the group. Sometimes the groups will turn on a mother and kill her babies in order to breed with her again. So that's what happened in their case. They wanted to breed the mom again, but they didn't like the babies. She had them at night, and a fight broke out, and she got injured, so she had to be removed from the group. They were bred in captivity, but they were not tamed in captivity. They were just for conservation. They were all together, but they turned on the mom. She got injured. She had to be removed, and then these two had to be removed because the group was trying to attack them. And because the mom was injured, she could not take care of them, so I had to step in and take care of them. So they had to be bottle fed every 2 hours, just like a baby. And with them, because they're so social, you have to interact with them every day to get them this tame or this calm with you. You can't just leave them alone. You have to bring them out, interact with them. That's why kids are allowed to pet them and touch their face and their teeth and everything, and they don't bite. They've had a lot of practice with kids. I've practiced with my niece and nephew who are 2 and 3. And they've been putting their hands in their mouth and everything, and they're really good at it.
So what is that noise that we're hearing from them? What's that?
It's their teeth.
Yeah.
That's just their teeth hitting.
Yeah, they
It's
can
a kind.
just,
Like if you go
communication
with your mouth, they do it as well. Sometimes it shows curiosity, excitement. Then it could also mean an aggressive one. They have a different sound for each emotion they go through.
He also seems to be rather, territorial in the sense that he wants to have post Ricardo and
He loves it.
But I've noticed that they have an excellent sense of smell because she's picking all those apples right there.
Yeah, she's smelling it. That's why she came down.
So it's good. Just keep your arm open.
Just keep it open like this?
Yeah, let's look at it. Look at it. There's food. He's got food. He's got food. Keep it open. And there we go.
She knows not to bite fingers, so even if you stuck your fingers in her mouth, she just spit it out and get the apple.
Really?
Right,
Yeah.
Give it a shot again.
Let's try that
There we go.
again.
Yeah.
Here you go. Wait, you have to go for that one. So, okay, I noticed that you're feeding them apples, but generally, what else do they eat? Are they omnivores, herbivores, carnivores?
A little bit of omnivores, but these guys, they mainly love their fruits and vegetables, but they can eat roots and grubs in the ground, little insects or worms.
So they can source a forage, essentially?
Yes. So they have a strong snout or nose. If you look, it's very tough. So they'll use it to dig in the ground, move the dirt or the soil, get to the roots of trees or vegetable roots, and just eat all that in the ground. And then, so besides fruits, they eat vegetables, root vegetables, basically insects,
Good.
And when they dig in the ground, they will find other insects.
All right.
I know, you want some too.
No, this actually really, as I said, you're not going to see this in the wild. So, we're doing this for educational purposes. We're doing this so that you guys have some level of education and understanding. We're bringing about awareness. We're spreading awareness. But what you're seeing here is not what you're going to experience in the wild. So please, we're very fortunate that we're able to experience this. Don't go and try and hug a peccary in the wild, please. Whatever you may call it, peccary quenk, don't go and try and do that. But Ricardo, these are absolutely incredible animals, and it's such a privilege that we're able to even share this experience. But the unfortunate thing is, given the trends and given what you've spoken about, there's a possibility we might not have these creatures with us in the distant future. Well, distant or near, given how things are going.
Yeah, and so again, the word sustainability comes up. Put programs in place where we can preserve our animals. And while people might say they have the same thing in Venezuela, the DNA is going to be different. The animal, the genetic code is going to be different. The stuff from Venezuela is not Trinidadian. we have unique representations of these animals that we have in South America. Because, again, when Trinidad broke off from Venezuela, the land mammals were not able to integrate and share genetic material. So ours in our little pool would have developed quite differently. That's why so many of our mammals are slightly or sometimes even significantly different. We looked at the southern tamandua, we spoke about monkeys, there's so much. So these could be very different from those. So it would be a very big mistake to bring ones from Venezuela to try and replace what we have here. In other words, we will lose our stuff and replace it with something else. And then that genetic code, that animal will be lost forever.
That is really sad. There seems to be a lack of appreciation for these animals.
Correct.
Yeah, they're obviously misunderstood as well. Before working so closely with them, they're actually very intelligent animals, and they have such a sweet nature to them. But obviously, we only see the ones in the wild, and you never get up close and personal with one to really see their features and their personality. But they're highly intelligent. They can understand a few words sometimes. And they're like, they basically can act like this with the right amount of love and attention. But obviously you don't want to do that to ones in the wild. You want to keep them wild. But the ones that rehabilitate, we try to work with them as much as possible so they can still have that interaction and they're just not locked up because they can't be released. You got to work with them.
They can't be released.
No, they can't. They would not know how to survive on their own. I tried reintroducing them to the group at a young age, but they just weren't accepted. And they just didn't know how to defend themselves, so I had to...
In the wild, they remain in packs?
Yes, in families, yeah.
In families. I think this is incredible. Now let me speak about a bit of a pet peeve of yours. And that's hunting in TNT. We mentioned this at the beginning. These animals, under hunting licenses, they're allowed to be hunted, right? But there are no regulations to actually control how many of these animals are hunted.
There's no bag limits. Nobody controls or regulates your take. So if
you
you are a skilled hunter or a lucky hunter and you stumble upon a family group, 13, and you have enough people there with enough guns, you can kill all of them. Mother, baby, you can kill a newborn. You can kill a lactating mother. You can kill a pregnant mother. It does not matter. There are no specific regulations that guide what you should and should not do. And sadly, besides the regulations, the people who claim to be hunters, and they're very few because most people are poachers. Straight up, they're poachers. But the few hunters do not provide enough education for themselves about these animals. All they want to know is the best way to find them and kill them. Okay, should you kill this one? Should you kill that one? Should you be trapping them and determine, okay, this is a mother who's probably lactating, we should leave her alone. Okay, if you do not preserve what you hunt, soon you will have nothing to hunt. It's simple as that. It's the same reason why you cannot hunt deer in Tobago and you can't hunt wild hog in Tobago. There's just none. None.
There's no deer in Tobago either.
No deer in Tobago, no. And they try to reintroduce deer. Maybe one day we'll be lucky with the deer. The story of the deer, gets me a little, teary-eyed because, of a couple who did a lot for conservation in Trinidad, farming wild animals. And earlier this year, hunters went to their place, fence place, cut the fence, went in there and shot 17 deer.
Yeah.
Killed them and removed them. So it gets me so angry, it gets me so upset that these people are so narrow-minded and so idiotic that they cannot see the benefit. And most people in Trinidad who have had deer in captivity would have gotten from these people. Now that they're elderly and they could hardly do it, basically it was a home invasion. People invaded their homes and killed the animals out. So they're now out of wildlife farming. So another blow to conservation and the efforts to keep these animals alive in Trinidad and Tobago.
Why are these creatures so important to our ecosystem and our environment?
Just by their survival, their existence, what they do. They're grubbing, they're digging into the soil with their noses, they're aerating the soil, they're removing a lot of pests, so that's the nature part of the balance. They're eating a lot of fruits and vegetables and so on. They're doing seed dispersal. A lot of the seeds pass through their gut. They have a very complicated stomach, but the seeds pass through, and they walk from here, they walk a lot. So they're dispersing the seeds all over the place. These are part of the animals responsible for helping the forest stay the green forest that it is, with a lot of diversity. Else we'll end up with just a sort of monoculture in the forest. So they eat seeds here and deposit it there, they eat grasses here and deposit there, just all day long. They're walking. Even when they walk, it's ground, their feet, their toes create little holes and so on that a little water would store in. And when seeds and so on sit in there now, they have a better place to germinate and so on. It's just it's so diverse what they do in an ecosystem. And sadly to think now, all of that is not happening in Tobago because they are no longer there. And they're no deer also. They also have the same sort. They do almost the same thing as deer, but they do a little more with digging into the soil and so on like that there. So if in 20 years there's a report that comes out and said Tobago's forests are dying, the main ridge isn't as diverse and green, and a lot of plants are disappearing, you'll understand why.
Leanne, this seems to be very personal to you. It seems to really affect you.
Yeah, just because it's just really sad because these are animals that are unique to Trinidad. Like, if we have tourists in the future, they probably will not see them if things keep going the way they are. And then the more their habitat decreases or we encroach on it, the more they will sometimes come into populated areas, and then people will be like, oh, they're pests, they're coming too close to the houses or the kids and stuff like that. If they have nowhere to go, like, what do you expect? And then they get mistreated so badly. People just look at them and they're just like, oh, they're just a dumb pig. They don't know anything. But they're really is a very complex and intelligent creature. But nobody takes the time to really understand our wildlife, especially our local wildlife. There's so much in Trinidad that we have to offer, so many different animals. But nobody really cares. Nobody takes time to research. Like if I bring them to events, a lot of adults was like, oh, I didn't even know we had these, or that's just thing to kill or eat or put in a pot. Like nobody takes a time to really ask about them, what they do for Trinidad, what they do for the ecosystem. They just see them as food or just a dumb animal. And I think Trinidad needs to get educated a lot more on our local wildlife, how to protect them, how to understand them, so that the younger generation can preserve it. Because I have more kids coming up to me asking questions about them, seeing how they want to be vegan, they don't like eating meat, and the adults are the ones that, oh, just kill it. But the younger kids are now starting to be like, oh no, I can't kill an animal, I'm vegan, or they have much more respect for the animal. So I'm hoping there's hope for the younger generation to respect our animals.
I was just about to ask, how do we save Tobago based off of what Ricardo has, mentioned this morning? Very little to no wild boars, peccaries, squanks, very little. No deer.
Yeah. No deer.
How do you go about now?
Well, they tried before to introduce the white-tailed deer from Florida, and as soon as they were put into the ecosystem, they were killed out. So it has to be much more protection, much more enforcement, and the legislation that goes along with it to ensure that these animals can be reintroduced into the wild and do what they're supposed to do to keep the main ridge, that beautiful space that back in 1775, the British decided, it's amazing, we need to preserve
the main
it.
ridge is world famous, and yet there's very little protection there.
Correct.
Yeah.
Which is incredible, isn't it? We tout it. We speak about it all the time.
Right, yeah. It's a reason why so many people come in here on these cruise ships, and yet we're not giving it the protection that it needs. And that is just sad. It's crazy.
I need to change the, there was a tune that came out, Main Ridge, nobody lives there. Yes, there's no deer that lives there.
Right, yeah.
I know, it's so sad, but back to these wonderful creatures. They seem to be so relaxed and happy this morning.
But they love people because they've been around people.
They just seem so relaxed.
People are more what they would consider their family, their pack, because they've been around people so much.
But are is this the biggest they get?
No, they will actually get fatter. Not taller, but they could put on a bit more size. They can weigh between 30 pounds to 60 pounds. These guys are 30, 31, so they still have a bit more to go. They're only a little over 2 years. So.
You don't want any more?
Right.
Here you go. There you go. Yeah.
It's like I'm eating it just because you're giving it to me, but I don't really want it.
She doesn't want any more. She doesn't want it. All right, okay. Guys, this has really been an absolute pleasure. I mean, apart from learning so much, I've also seen some really wicked hairstyles this morning. They've got a little more happening. But it's really a privilege that we get to interact with these creatures. So, Ricardo, it's been a wonderful 3-4 months.
Yeah.
We've been able to do a lot. We've been able to bring a lot, educate and inform the public. I can't thank you and the volunteers enough for what you all have done on a Wild Wednesday. 2023 has been you know, it's challenging year. But the fact that we've been able to do this every single Wednesday, I'm certainly appreciative.
I've missed a beat. That's great. Thank you guys for the opportunity to do this. Our focus is education, conservation through education. By teaching people, we are reaching people and we're making a difference. And she knows the food is down there and she's like, what is there else for me to get? Yeah. Looking forward, wishing all our viewers, listeners, followers, supporters out there a wonderful, wonderful holiday season, whether you celebrate Christmas, Kwanzaa, Hanukkah, whatever it is, and look forward to meeting and greeting each and every one of you for 2024. And hopefully we continue this amazing program, Wild Wednesday, here every Wednesday morning, and reach and teach more people to the point where we're going to reach the right people and teach the right people, and they're going to start to make the right decisions to preserve not just wildlife, but
it's like he was giving his grand speech, man. Come on.
Right? So much here in Trinidad and Tobago going forward. He's like, yeah, give me food, give me food, give me food. Yeah. You see, yes. You see where when you know you're having pizza and you're grabbing more than your share and they say, hey, you're behaving like a pig. There you go right there. But, you know, so you understand where a lot of this comes from. So thank you very much.
No, thank you guys very much. Leon, I mean, thank you so much for bringing. Well, I mean, I kind of want to keep them here and just have
they would love
play,
that.
yeah, play with them for the because there's absolutely incredible creatures on there. And as you said, they're intelligent. Look at this. I mean, I'm so intrigued alone by the snout, you know?
Yeah.
Yes.
It's just the muscular movements and how tough it is.
It's so hard. Like
yeah, but I mean, really, thank you for all that you're doing and have done. And I look forward to welcoming you back to Wild Wednesdays in 2024.
Very excited.
Some more cool stuff. And no more food.
I hope you guys come back. Yeah, you guys will come back, won't you?
Once there's food.
Yeah. Once there's food around, she'll be around, right?
No, I've been seeing the same thing for a while. Once WSN has food, I'll be here. But anyway, Ricardo, to you and the rest of the volunteers, have a safe Christmas, an enjoyable Christmas, and all the best heading into 2024. We look forward to Wild Wednesdays in 2024.
Definitely look forward to being here come January.
I'm not no dentist, but I think you have good teeth.
Amazing.
They get regular checkups.
Yeah. Anyway, guys, yes, Merry Christmas to you too. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, it's been another fantastic Wild Wednesday. Thank you very much for joining us on AM Prime. I think everyone wants to eat some apples now. I think I'm going to join them. But have a great day ahead, a safe day ahead. And we thank all at the El Socorro Center for Wildlife Conservation. And we look forward to Wild Wednesdays in 2024. I'm Keaton Shaw. Bye-bye.
WESN.
The newest book is here, Closer to the Church, the debut novel by author and former mayor Louis Lee Singh, available at all the Home Store branches, Barataria, West Mall, Shogunas and C3 San Fernando. Paper-based bookshop 10 Nook Avenue, St. Anne's, WESN 30A Gattaca Street, Woodbrook, Metropolitan Bookshop, Ariapita Avenue, Woodbrook, and all RIK bookstores nationwide. Available online as paperback on Amazon.com and Kindle for e-readers. For more info, call 628-5835 or 389-6504. Also available from author Louis Lee Singh, I Used to Live in Heaven, Letters to My Granddaughters, and Local Government in Trinidad, Conspiracy Against the People.
So we're back and better than ever.
Your show have always appeared to be a show that is focused on going to the cause or looking to the cause.
We hardly ever talk about the white-collar crime, though. We always talk about the ones that involve more as physical violence against individuals.
The citizens will only measure transmission when water starts to flow through their taps.
The Constitution doesn't talk about local election.
Contract mafia that's responsible for looting the country, and they own and operate these politicians.
So if you are running a country and you can't say nothing as a prime minister, please take up your bag and go.
It is not comparative to the murder figures, but it is in fact very high.
I believe he's protecting certain individuals.
You are watching Strictly Legal on WESN Content Capital. Just give an overview of what exactly is that split arrangement.
Now you don't need to register nothing. You don't need. We can do that another time. But then it becomes a hit, and then everybody starts to want to claim.
The laws that predate many of the independent countries' constitutions are going to be those colonial laws.
We know there are an infinite amount of circumstances that would lead to a murder.
I have a great idea and, I have a great concept, but until it's actually expressed, it does not become intellectual property.
Accomplishments or targets of a forensic accountant is to quantify what may have been lost.
We believe we defend criminals and we manipulated the law and we exploited the system.
A responsible journalist will reach out to the person who they have the information on for a comment.
Young at heart, purpose-driven, patriot even. When you like to party, but are still passionate about discussing important issues, the only place where your needs will be met is WESN Content Capital.
Entry of humanitarian aid that was closed nearly 3 days ago after a Hamas rocket killed 4 Israeli soldiers nearby. The crossing between Egypt and Gaza into Rafah, however, still remains closed after Israeli troops seized it on Monday. Next to New York and the testimony everyone was waiting for in Donald Trump's hush money trial. Adult film actor Stormy Daniels took to the stand Tuesday, giving lurid details of her sexual encounter with the former president that he denies ever took place. Trump is accused of falsifying business records to reimburse his lawyer, Michael Cohen, for a $130,000 hush money payment to Daniels. Well, sad news for soccer fans here in Paris. Their Paris Saint-Germain team is now out of the Champions League. And it certainly wasn't the glorious end to his PSG career that the star player Kylian Mbappe had been hoping for. That shock exit at the hands of Borussia Dortmund last night here in Paris, now depriving him of playing his last game for the club in the final at Wembley next month. Mbappe is set to leave the PSG after 7 years when his contract expires at the end of the season. The French champions lost 1-0 last night, 2-0 on aggregate.
It's sad because the guys tried to give it everything. We worked hard. We gave everything to try and make a difference, but we didn't succeed. We weren't efficient in the 6-yard box. In the Champions League, in decisive matches, when you're not clinical in front of goal, it's difficult to hope to go through to the next round, especially when it's a final.
Okay.
They were second best in every duel. It's like they didn't realize they were playing a Champions League semifinal, which doesn't happen every day. In the end, they had a really good game against Barcelona in the second leg, and that's it.
Kylian Mbappe didn't do anything in both legs. Let him go to Madrid. We'll see him go with pleasure.
We were unlucky. We hit the post 3 times. It was really deflating. They didn't have a single shot on target. It's really sad. But we can't blame the team. They gave it everything.
So with the excitement over the arrival of the Olympic flame in France, many hotels in Marseille have been booked for weeks and even months. We're going to talk more about that now with Solange Mougin, who joins me on the set. Hi, Solange.
Hi.
Now, whether it's in Marseille, Paris, or other French cities, hotels have been hopeful, but also a bit disappointed about this event pack season.
Yeah, let's start with Marseille, and then we'll move up north to Paris. The city phocéenne, or Marseille, says that compared to last year, there's been a 60% increase in both the number of hotel rooms and private apartments that were booked for this one event today. So many in Marseille are actually pretty happy about the influx of visitors. And the president of the region, he expects that there to be an economic windfall for the area of between 500 to 800 million euros for this one event. So that's pretty good news for Marseille's tourism industry. But if we go north to Paris, some hotels are nervously biting their fingernails about whether they will get the reservations that they need for the games. Of late, reservations of Paris is over 86,000 hotel rooms. Well, they've leveled off, and even the prices per night for the Olympics, well, they've dropped. It did so by 40% in April compared to 6 months earlier. So that's a big drop. Hotels are continuing to adjust their prices according to demand. And this is also occurring because sports federations, well, they can progressively cancel some of their mass bookings that they did early on, which opens up more rooms. And also there are thousands of offers on sites like Airbnb, which actually says it expects 130,000 offers in total for the Paris region for the games. Now, many of those flat owners, they are also lowering their prices, but the combination of that hefty competition and the less than hoped for demand that's been nerve-wracking for the tourism industry, which fears that tourists have simply decided to stay away from the capital this year.
You want people to come and explore the city and go to the games. It would be more attractive if the prices of the hotels were not so expensive.
Everyone could watch sports. It don't depend on money on what you can afford, right?
But that doesn't mean that all of the roll-up of this roll-up of to the Olympics is a bust, or that the overall 5 to 10 billion, a big chunk there, 5 to billion economic windfall will not occur. Rather, it simply means that Paris is following in the footsteps so far of the London Olympics, where many hotels were not fully booked, but the prices of rooms were so high that it sort of evened things out in 2012. And it also led as well to a stellar tourism in the years that followed the Olympics.
All right, let's talk a bit more specifically about prices. How much is the average hotel room in Paris during the Olympics?
Well, as I just described, it's constantly being adjusted. This depends on when you book, if it's for the opening ceremony or not, the kind of hotel you choose. But the average, according to the Paris Tourism Board, is 452 euros a night. That is double the prices for the same period of July last year. Now, some hotels are even 7 times more expensive than they were last year. Prices, of course, run the gamut, and hotel owners are constantly, as I said, adjusting, for they, of course, naturally want to get as much money as they can.